In this episode, we look at Grade 6 Social Studies, Life of the East Indians on the Plantations. Hi, boys and girls. At the end of this week's lesson, you will be able to describe the life of the East Indians on the plantations from the 19th to the 20th century and complete at least four of the activities at the eight learning centers. Upon arriving in Jamaica, the East Indians were taken directly to the plantations. They signed contracts that made them work very hard for little pay. They had to work from sunrise to sunset. If they missed work or refused to work, they were punished. The East Indian indentured laborers were accommodated in unsanitary and crowded rooms called barracks. Discrimination against the East Indian indentured laborers was evident because they were treated unfairly by the white planters and even the freed Africans, who thought they were inferior to them. The East Indian indentured laborers had a different culture, and this caused problems as they spoke a different language, ate different food, and had different religious beliefs and practices. Even though life was hard, the East Indian indentured laborers made every effort to preserve their cultural practices. They wore their traditional clothes, cooked their traditional food, celebrated their festivals, and spoke their language while also adapting to Jamaican culture. Maintaining good health was a major challenge, as many were malnourished and fell victim to tropical diseases. Engage. Discuss how we treat persons who are different from us. In what ways are they different? Explain ways in which we can appreciate those who are different from us. Explore. Access the internet and download and view videos and articles on East Indian indentured laborers who were severely punished for resisting or being absent. Find out two ways in which these workers were punished. Explain. Complete figure 1 by writing above each number one way in which the indentured laborers, the East Indian indentured laborers, were treated unfairly. The name of the building that was unsanitary and overcrowded, an example of the food, language, and clothing and religious practices, and one major challenge that the East Indian indentured laborers faced. Extend. Explain in a paragraph how the East Indian indentured laborers were punished. Now complete at least four of the activities at the eight learning centers. Before we go there, how were they treated unfairly? Hmm. Let's look at how they were treated unfairly. So they had to work for long hours, okay? And with little pay. So they weren't being paid what they were worth. So long hours and little pay. The barracks, the barracks, that would be place that they were sustained, which would have been overcrowded. Food, language, clothing. So for food, no, maybe they would have had their curry. Okay. Language, their language, Hindi. Okay. Clothing, we have the sarai, and there are other traditional dress. And for religion, they would be practicing, for the most part, Hinduism, right? Other major challenges they mentioned health. Okay, so weren't used to some of the diseases on this side of the world. So let's go to the Faye Ellington Center now. It says find out the medical plan in place for children of East Indian indentured laborers. Self-link from the Dr. Agri Irons Center. Make a journal entry expressing your views on the discrimination meted out to the East Indian indentured laborers. So was this fair? Why were people, even the Africans who had gone through the hardship of slavery, were now looking down on them? What was with that? How do they then, having this experience, now turn around and look down at somebody else? Music link from the Jimmy Cliff Center write song lyrics highlighting the life of the East Indian indentured laborers on the plantations. Picture link from the Edna Manley Center download images of East Indian indentured laborers working on the sugar plantations in Jamaica and create a carousel of these images. Body link from the Rex Nettleford Center. Upon their arrival on the sugar plantation, the East Indian indentured servants were given tools. Find out the names of these tools and make a model of one of your choice. Number link from the Albert Einstein Center. If five indentured laborers took 40 hours to cut a field, how long will it take three East Indian indentured laborers to complete the same job? Let's see if we can look at this a little more. So if it is we have five of them, they took 40 hours to do it. What would be the total number of hours then? Um, so 5 times 40, we could look at it and say 200 hours it would take, right? Total, looking at all of them combined, right? Let's see if we could drop that. So let's say 5 times the 45 minute 40 hours would give us a total of 200 hours to do that. Now, if it is that I'm going to take three men at some number of hours, they have to do the same job as this 200. Let's put this here. So for now, um, if it is that we divide this by 3, then we'd have to divide this by 3 as well. Okay, so this number of hours would be equal to 200 divided by 3. So what would be 200 divided by 3? 3 into itself 1, 3 into 20 goes 6, because 6 threes would be 18. Another 2 would be left. So this again is 6. Another 2 would be left, but that's beyond the decimal point. So add decimal, we continue. So about 66.6 hours. Okay, so let's go. We know that if we have 5 men working and it takes only 40 hours, we know that we can't do the same amount of work with 3 men and it takes less than 40. It must take more than 40. So any calculation I'm doing, my answer must be more than 40. And in this case, I got about 66.6 hours, which is more than the 40. So that's reasonable. Social link from the Mary C. Cole Center. Use a digital device and take photos of the model tools you made. Show these images in your class WhatsApp group. And finally, Nature Link from the Dan Macaulay Center. It says, which crop grown by the East Indian indentured laborers was the main source of income for the plantation owners? So in this episode, we looked at life on the plantation for East Indian indentured laborers. We found out that they had to work for little pay from sunrise to sunset in overcrowded barracks, little or no medical attention. That was a part of their day to day struggle. Even the Africans would have looked down on them. All right, go ahead, continue your reading so you can find out how these East Indian indentured survived on the plantations. Take care. We'll see you in the next episode.